Hello, Bulldogs. This is Mr. Wickwar, and today we're going to talk a little bit about Adobe Illustrator. Adobe Illustrator is a visual graphics program that deals mainly with vector images. The difference between a vector image and a raster image, which is what we used in Photoshop, is as you remember with raster images, they have a specific resolution. You remember downloading images from the web that were a certain resolution, and if we stretched them too much, they got pixelated. Well, in Adobe Illustrator, it deals with vector graphics. Vector graphics don't use pixels. Instead, they use a math algorithm in that you can stretch it as much as you want, and it's going to stay in perfect focus. To start with, we're going to click on File, New. And you got to wait just a second. We're going to type a title in for our name. I'm going to call mine Mr. Robot. And then my last name. Once you have that done, you are going to make sure that the number of artboards is 1, letter in size 8.5 by 11. You'll need to change this to inches, 8.5 by 11. And we are going to use CMYK, which stands for the color we're going to use. There's also RGB behind that. Okay, CMYK is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And then we're going to go ahead and click OK. Once it opens up, it turns to a page. The first thing we're going to talk about is Artboards versus canvases. This is not a canvas. It's actually called the artboard. If you want to add an artboard, one thing you'll do when you first open your program, you'll notice that there is a toolbar over here. It's actually not a toolbar, it's a panel bar showing you all the different panels that this program has. Go ahead and stretch it out. What this is going to do is show you the names of the panels. Okay? And that kind of allows you to start memorizing what these different symbols mean. Over here on the left-hand side, you're going to see the tools. A lot of the tools on the toolbar look familiar. Okay, they're ones we used in Photoshop. Up at the top, you're going to see the options bar. Options, whenever you click on a tool, let's do text, you will see the options for that tool. Okay, over here we still have a layers panel, but layers is not used quite as much because you can click on things like you wouldn't believe. I'll show you that in a moment. I'm going to click on Artboards. Here in Artboards, you can add an artboard, and look what it does. It just adds another board. So you can have multiple projects, multiple pages of a project open at once. And when you save it, you may remember in Photoshop, it saves it in different project files. Here, it saves all of your artboard pages in one project. I'm going to go ahead and delete that one just for now. I'm going to scroll over to the left and let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about the panels. If a panel is not over here that you need, you can always go up to Window and choose which one you're looking for. I'm going to choose Align. And notice that Align opens up here. Once it opens up, you can just click these double arrows or just move it to put it right back in place. So those are the panels. If you need to reset your workspace, maybe your toolbar gets out of whack, and one of these is somewhere you don't want it to be, you can always touch these little, looks like a little comb here that allows you to move these out. You can just click on Window, Workspace, and Reset Essentials. Puts everything back where it's supposed to go. I'm going to go ahead and bump that over, and let's get started. We're going to click on Tools. The first tool we're going to use is the Rectangle tool. If you hold down the mouse, you'll see all the other tools behind it. We're going to use these first 5. For the Rectangle tool, you can draw a rectangle. If you're real careful, you can kind of eyeball it, and a little snap sidebar will go across. This means that you have a perfect square. Once you let go, you'll notice that it has these little dots. If you pull these little dots in, you get rounded corners. We'll use a rounded rectangle for that in a moment, though. Once you have it, just like in Photoshop, you can spin this by coming right up to the edge and see the double arrows. You'd spin this around. If you want it exactly 90 degrees, you can either eyeball it and it'll be right on 90 if you're a nice steady hand. If not, hold down Shift and it will only move in 90-degree increments. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put it nice and flat again. All right, once you have that, you can change the stroke and fill by either clicking right here. You can also do it up here. You can even come over here and click on one of your color swatches over here if you wanted to and change the colors. Right here we have the stroke and fill again. Well, let's just go ahead and do it right here. I'm going to double click on the fill. Notice that it comes to the top. Let's make the inside red. And let's make the stroke by double clicking here a bright color that we can see, like a bright blue. Now, you can't see the stroke very well, so I'm going to go up here to the options bar and just increase the size of the stroke till it becomes something pretty visible. There we go. Okay, and that's how you do a basic shape. Now let's add another shape. Let's say I wanted an exact shape. I can just click here without doing anything. Click on my rectangle tool. Click anywhere, and the dimensions come up. Let's do a 2-inch by 2-inch square. And there we go, a perfect square. If you wanted to copy and paste this square, you can always do that. You can move your square around. Notice that it always snaps into place there. That's kind of nice to have. I can just go Control-C, Control-V, and I have another square. Okay, this is how we kind of start building objects. Notice that I can click on these without having to go click on the actual layer. It's kind of doing that automatically for me. I'm going to go back over here to the Shape tool. This time let's do a rounded corner rectangle. Works the same way. Notice that it looks a little, not even much like a rectangle. You can take this little guy right here, move it out to the side, and as you can see, we have something that looks a little more like a rectangle. Let's try another one. This one is the Ellipse tool. For the Ellipse tool, it's going to make semicircles, or I guess that's more of an oval, or we can make an exact circle. If we're careful, you'll see another snap, a big plus sign goes through it, and that's a perfect circle. Spin it around, whatever you need to do. Let's try another shape. This shape is called the polygon. Polygon's going to have 6 sides, but what if you wanted more than that? Well, then you can just click in an area and choose the side you want. Let's do 3. If we do 3, of course, we're going to get what? A triangle. Here's our triangle. Spin it around, edit it a little bit if you need to. Notice I can do rounded rectangles on that as well, or rounded corners, I should say. And then the final one over here we're going to do is the star tool. I'm going to make just a basic star here. If you wanted one specific, click in any area. Make it a crazy star. Let's do 24 sides. Or 25. There we go. Boom. Looks like the sun. Okay? That's how you do a star tool. Sort of a star shape, I should say. Okay? Now let's talk just a little bit about deleting things. I'm getting kind of a messy artboard here. I'm going to click on these things and just delete them. If you wanted to delete a bunch at once, you could highlight them like so and hit delete. Let's just clear off this board altogether. Make a few rectangles again. Here, let's move into aligning objects and arranging objects, and then we're done. Let's say I wanted all these to be the same height. I'm going to draw a big box around them. Not height, I should say aligned the same. I'm going to come over here and pull this out so I can see it again. I'm going to click on the Align button. But oops, I look over here and the Align button is not here. The Align panel is not there. So I'm going to go to Window. I'm going to click Align. And all of a sudden the panel pops up. I can even drag it over here and drop it into place. So it's there from now on. I click on Align, and let's align them all vertically. That means we want all of the tops to be aligned. Okay, look what it did there. Everything's perfectly aligned. What if, instead of that, we move them all sideways, and we wanted to align the left-hand side of them? Let's try that for a second. Like so. We're going to highlight all of them. We're going to say we want align left, horizontally. Boom. It's right where we need it. What if one object is in front of another object, and we want it to be behind it? Let's do it with this so you can see it pretty simple. I'm going to move this over. And then let's move this right on top. And as you can see, the red box is behind the maroon box. And let's say we don't want that. I'm just going to stretch this out. And let's go ahead and click on the red box, right click, arrange, bring to front. And it's in front. Okay? So now you're going to go ahead and give your project a try. Your goal is to make a robot using the Shapes tool, showing me evidence of each of the shapes. Okay? Put different size strokes and different colored strokes around all of your shapes. Okay? Maybe even tilt each of the shapes to show me you know how to change the way a shape is facing. Okay? And create your own prototype of a robot. That is it. Signing out on Tutorial 1.